So Californians are most at risk at being replaced by AI technology like Chat GPT. There's research that predicts almost 322,000 jobs are at high risk of being replaced. This is from Net Voucher Codes, which compiled data for 199 jobs from each state. It used USAWage.com's top 200 popular jobs from each state. Okay. And it said that 322,000 California jobs are at high risk. Another 1.2 million jobs in California are at medium risk. And in the realm of automation, more than 2 million California jobs are at high risk, nearly 4 million at medium risk. The next states high on the list: Texas, New York, Florida, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. So you may ask yourself, well, do I have one of these jobs? At the top of the list of jobs being replaced by AI, what do you think it is? What do you think the number one job to be replaced by AI technology? What do you think? It's 3.3 million jobs that are at risk. And when I tell you the answer, you're going to be like, yeah.
I'm going to say like phone help, where you call and you get, like customer service. Yeah.
That's number two. We're very close. So we're playing the Family Feud. You might. You might. What's the number one answer? The number one answer, that's not tech support, not telemarketers. We already use it. Probably some of us, maybe every single day. Cashiers. Cashiers are the number one high-risk job of being replaced by AI. And it's because, well, one, we're doing the freaking job with the computer.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, they already have us doing it. Why do they need AI doing it?
Right. So, well, I mean, look at things like Amazon Go, those stores, right? You wear a little wristband or you have the app or whatever. You don't even need to talk to anybody anymore. So 3.3 million jobs, cashier jobs, are at risk. Then comes customer service representatives at more than 2.7 million. The next job on the list of being possibly replaced by AI, bookkeeper. Which I find, so bookkeeping is something that, obviously I'm having to like learn and handle and find somebody to do because I realize I can't handle it. And even just a quick Google search, there are so many websites where, yes, you have to input stuff, so there's a human element to it, but it's very automated. Yeah. This one cracks me up. This always reminds me of, we're creating, like, my job is to create the thing that's going to replace me. Right? So doesn't make sense. An IT support technician, right? If you work in the field of information technology or computer sciences or programming, are you going to program your ass right out of a job? Possibly. You might possibly be doing that. That's almost 700,000 jobs are at risk. A billing clerk, I think that kind of goes with bookkeeping.
Yeah.
This one was interesting, Kim. Now it's the assistant, but I do find it funny. An HR assistant, a human resources assistant is a robot. I mean,
well, I guess one could say, what does human resources do, right? Keeps track of disciplinary actions, keeps track of benefits and all the things that people sign up for healthcare and everything else, all the benefits of the company. I guess I could see the human resources assistant being AI.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I would want it to be, though. You know what I mean? Like, if I have an issue, look, I know Chat GPT is getting all kinds of attention because it's able to really react to the conversation in this unique, groundbreaking way. All I know is that when I'm dealing with something such as maybe interactions with a boss or a coworker, if I'm trying to figure out my benefits, I want a human being to talk to. But we have to demand it. I mean, how many people are going to be at work and when you find out that the HR assistant, let's just say, is a bot, are going to be like, well, I just can't take the job. I mean, I'm going to need somebody in human resources that's actually a human being. Nobody's going to do that. And that's the problem, is that we're not in a position of power to say, I don't want to work for a company that is replacing people with robots because we want a job. David makes an excellent point. I just saw human resources also decides which resumes get seen. Yes, if you don't have the right keywords, you'll just be completely booted off. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, your resume probably won't even cross the desk. That's why these companies use them. Can you imagine getting thousands of resumes for 2 jobs and going through every single one and reading every single one? No. So you're going to plug in, I want, this word, that word, that word. And any resumes that come through that don't have those specific words or that specific phrase doesn't even get a look at.
Mm-hmm.
And that's tough. That's
No,
really
because
tough.
when human eyes look at it, there may be something that stands out that
Yes.
makes you think, oh, I didn't even think to ask for this qualification. And look, this person could be the perfect fit.
Exactly.
So maybe we're doing ourselves a disservice.
Yeah, Eric writes in, AI filters have already made job searches sheer hell. Ugh, I can't even imagine. Girls Inspired for Tomorrow, love the name. There was a great segment on Last Week Tonight with John Oliver about AI. Very accurate reporting. The best summary quote, AI is dumb in ways we haven't yet discovered. Well, AI is created by human beings, so I won't put it past them. HR needs HR because they're douches. Okay, Lady Beatrice. I feel like there's a story there. I feel like there's something that happened to you. Let me go through the rest of the list. Paralegal assistant is after the HR assistant. A compliance officer, a claims assessor, which I was just in an accident. Remember, like a couple of weeks ago, the claims assessor. I can see that. Like, I went on my car insurance app, took pictures, uploaded everything. I didn't talk to a human being. It wasn't my fault, so didn't really need it. And then this one kind of blew my mind a little bit. Executive assistant. Now, when I think of an executive assistant, I expect somebody like at my beck and call, like, I need this, Sally, get me that, blah, 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 right?
No, I don't think I don't think necessarily. It's your secretary, which
But executive assistant. It's not like your receptionist or something like that. This is somebody that's like your right-hand woman or right-hand man, right?
You're answering the phone, you're making travel arrangements, you're typing stuff up,
things.
and you're also providing ideas and things to the person, right?
Yeah. I mean, it just, I feel like another job where I would want a human being doing it. I want somebody that's going to also call me on my BS, right? Like, this doesn't look good. Can you imagine being part of a company? And I don't know, maybe the AI will get there, but still. And we hear about all these, businesses that do an ad campaign and they don't realize that it looks totally racist or sexist or something, right? Or tone deaf. And is AI going to be that person in the room that's going to know the history or something like that to be like, Nikki, that doesn't really look like it's going to do you well in this group of people because it kind of sounds like this. I don't know. I really don't know if it's going to be able to do that. But I feel like we need to, as a human race, again, not program ourselves right out of a job or out of existence. What's going to happen? I mean, do you think there'll ever be a world, Kim, in which it actually works in our favor, that AI is taking over these jobs where, AI and computers and robots can create food and build enough houses and do all these things that we can just do whatever we want? I think human beings as a species need to work. They need to have kind of not a struggle in a bad way, but a goal, something to do, or I think we'll go insane, in all honesty. But I don't feel like our lives are getting better. I feel like they're just getting more stressful with each and every technology we come up with. And I don't understand why.
I feel like there's a generation where we needed to, wanted to work, wanted to be contributing to society, wanted to do something useful. But I was just reading a story on CNN about the headline is this: how younger workers are using bare minimum Monday, they're calling it.
Yes.
Bare minimum Monday as a form of self-care. So here we have now a push to do a 4-day work week. We've got bare minimum Monday where younger workers are like, you know what? I just need to chill on Monday. I'm not really going to work so hard, blah, blah, blah. Quiet quitting, all these ways that people are showing they don't really want to work.
Nope.
They don't really want to do the hard work. They don't really want to be a go-getter and go, do the things and make the things and build the things and have America be strong. And no.
So that's what you think. Because I'll just play devil's advocate, because I think that there is a segment of the work population that may be that way. I also think it is this growing understanding of being disposable. That, this narrative that the corporate world has given us of you work hard, you put in your dues, you sacrifice time with your family, you come into the office and work, all of these late hours, that it's going to pay off for you in some sense. And what do we find instead? That the top percent of people are taking all of the wealth and all of the profits, and it's not, as it never does, trickle down to everyone else. And so when you're sitting there and you're asking, why am I doing this? Why am I busting my ass? Why am I spending part of my Sunday dreading tomorrow at a time when tomorrow is not guaranteed, where you would have hoped we would have learned something from COVID, right? And I do think that we're learning something. And I think that's why we're doing this quiet quitting or rage applying or whatever you want to do, or bare minimum Monday. I think it's to kind of take back the power a bit from this narrative that's been spoon fed us for generations, that it's bull crap, right?
So, but if you have a generation and new workers who are the future, are quiet quitting and bare minimum Mondaying and cyber loafing and rage applying, if you have that going on, then wouldn't employers and companies go, we're better off with AI? We're better off knowing the work that's going to come to us, the productivity that's going to come to us. We know what's going to get done. We know the workload that we can ask the AI to accomplish is going to get done, rather than all the people that are like, meh, I could have this job, take it or leave it.
But it's not sustainable. It's not. I mean, that business in and of itself, if it lived in its own tiny bubble, okay. But what's going to happen is it's going to want to take care of people, right? I mean, unless you don't want people to work anymore. And if that's a business's goal of like, I don't want any human workers, I don't want to employ any people, which, believe me, I can understand the allure of that, right? Well, I don't have to pay for healthcare. Robot's not going to get sick, right? I don't have to have an HR because there's no humans here. Like, I can understand it until they come for you.
Yeah,
right?
but I would argue, whose fault really is it? Is it the employer who thought, gosh, I really don't want to use AI, but Joe over here just bare minimum Mondayed himself right out of a job? Who is the one that's not putting in the effort?
But does doing what is, and we've had this debate before, is doing what is asked of you and nothing else so bad? I mean, is it, I'm doing what you paid me to do and I'm not going to do any extra because you don't want to give me any extra. And you want to tell me that I'm going to get extra, but you're not going to give me any extra. And when my raise evaluation comes around, you're going to tell me that the business can't afford it right now. The company can't afford it, but I don't see you taking it in the shorts. I don't see you not getting your raise. Right.
No.
So that's the thing. I understand exactly what you're saying. When you look around, you want people as devoted to the company as you are. Absolutely. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. But in turn, you also need to share the benefits. And that is what's not happening. They look at you square in the face, as serious as possible, and say, yes, because I am CEO, CFO, I'm in the C-suite, I deserve all of this. Even though I can't do all of this without you, you're not going to get any of it. And then when I do get fired, I get this golden parachute that sets me up for the rest of the life. You can grovel for unemployment.
You get nothing. Yeah.
It's broken. The system is broken.
And maybe this is misguided and, naive. I think as an employer, you have to say, this is what I always told myself. I know the company is out for the company. I know the company puts itself first. Its whole point is to make itself survive. I know that in the hierarchy of everything, I come down about here, right? But the job that I do, the work that I do, represents me more than it represents the company. So when you think of me and the job that I do, I want you to see me as a shining star. I want you to see me as someone who cared. I want you to see me as someone you want as a coworker, so that the next job you get, you're thinking to yourself, I'm going to recommend my friend Kim because I know that she's a hard worker and she'll go get it. Right? Maybe that's that naivete in me.
Well,
Bare minimum Monday my ass.
It's not naive. And I think that does make, obviously, that's what people want in a worker. I guess my question is, wouldn't you want your family, the rest of your life to say the same thing? Like, if you are giving all, and I'm not just talking about you
Right.
specifically, Kim, but if you're in a job in which you are asked to miss events for your family, if you're
Yeah.
asked to work overtime and not make it home for dinner, what you're sacrificing for this company so that they
Right.
can look at you like this shiny good worker, is it worth it? And I think that so many people now are saying no,
No.
because while it might be nice to get that recommendation and have that glowing review in somebody's mind,
Right.
the rest of my life took a crap because I gave so much to a company that for them, I was
Well,
just a line on the budget.
I don't think that's always the case. I mean, I think that comes
It's
down
not
to
always.
what they're calling work-life balance, right? I mean, there's a point at which, yes, you're going to miss a soccer game because you have to work. There's also a point at which you're going to have to say, no, I can't do this extra because I'm volunteering in the classroom today or I'm doing whatever. It's always a balance. There's always a give and take.
Yeah, but if you go to your boss and you're like, I'm sorry, I can't make XYZ meeting, and they're like, well, sorry, if you don't meet it, make it, then there's a consequence.
And
If
that's not the
you,
job for you.
well, and
Yeah.
that's what people are finding. I mean, yeah, you always wish you worked for a company that's going to work with you. And I do think that that's what a lot of these younger generations, this bare minimum Monday, I think that's what they're kind of trying to express to their employers, not to speak for everyone, because I know people will exploit it. But what I am saying, it's like, think about what the worker also needs. It's not selfish of the worker because the company doesn't exist also without the worker. Just value that person as a human being that has a life outside the walls of your business. And when you treat these workers well, when they know that, look, I work for a company that works with my life, I don't want to mess this up because they care about me. Instead of being like, I don't want to mess this up because if I mess up once, I'm fired. That's the difference. That's the difference.
No.
Harry says, let AI take over and eventually there will only be the CEO. Then maybe we can finally fire a CEO for poor results, right? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, exactly. Mindy says it would be really good if employers would value their workers and not treat them as disposable. And they do to a large extent, right? They just do.
Mhm.
And that needs to change. So if it means, you know what, I'm going to do what I'm going to do and that's it. It's not that the person, in my opinion, doesn't want to do a good job. They're just going to do a good job for the hours and for the pay that you give them. Kim used to think that, got laid off twice, and that shifted my whole outlook.
Yeah.
They do not care about you. Bottom line is all that matters.
So I got
Yowza.
laid off too, right? As we know, I got laid off big time, but I'm not sorry for doing my best work. I'm
Of
not
course not.
sorry for trying my hardest. I'm not sorry for
Of course.
saying yes to extra shifts that helped my boss out. I'm not sorry for being a good employee. I'm just not sorry about it.
Well, I
I'm
wouldn't
sorry
say
about
be
the way it
sorry
ended.
for it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wouldn't say be sorry for it.
I don't regret doing that.
No, and I wouldn't regret doing that either.
Yeah.
As long as now, Kim, and of course, this is just made up situations, of
Mhm.
course. If they fired you
Mhm.
and you had given up things that really meant something to you, if you had missed a funeral, if you had missed a wedding, because you were promised certain things, and then all of a sudden they handed you your pink slip like you had made those sacrifices, which I think that especially in this big tech world and the competition happens more often than we may realize. I think that that's where this disillusionment comes from. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, I was a good employee to you. And look what it got me. Look what it got me. And yeah, I might be able to tuck myself in and out knowing, gosh darn it, I was a great employee. And yeah, if that helps you sleep better at night, fine. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't
Pay the
get back
bills.
those memories and it doesn't
Yeah.
pay the bills.
Right.
So yeah, it's like it's fine on one hand. And yes, being that type of person where I don't care what happens, I am a hard worker and I'm the same way, except I don't think that there's anything wrong at all about being clear that this is my job.
Right.
And I'm going to do my job.
Right.
And if I can't do extra for you, I don't want to be punished or viewed as not a good worker.
Right.
This was the exchange of goods and pay and everything else that we agreed upon.
Right.
And that's it. That's it.
I learned a long time ago when I first got into radio and I felt like I couldn't take a day off and I couldn't, I had to be there, had to do it, had to,
Right.
work my way up, had to,
Yeah.
and my grandfather was dying and I wasn't there and I didn't and I regret not being there as much as my sister was there. And I will forever feel stupid for feeling like I was obligated to be at work and not put my family first. Huge mistake. And that was in my 20s, right? So since that moment, I will never make that mistake again. I don't think that being a good employee or doing extra sometimes means that you don't have your priorities in order or that you can't see what needs to be done.
And I don't either. I feel like, and I think that in your 20s versus, 40s is a completely different situation.
Totally.
I busted my ass. I took every shift. I was just like you, right? You take any opportunity that you can. I worked overnights. I did all of these things, and it paid off, right? I mean, I worked my way up in my career. I got my own show at KGO, which was always a dream of mine, and I still got laid off. And does it suck? Yes. Now I love doing this show. I really do. It's different. It's way more work, but it didn't. Busting my ass in my 20s and 30s, while it got me farther in my career, it got me the experience. I met amazing people. I experienced such cool things in my career. It doesn't protect you. There is no protection. So then you have to ask yourself in your next job, okay, what do I want my life to look like with this job being a part of it? With this new career being part of it? Do I want it to look like this? Am I happy? And reflecting on that, which I think the younger generation is really good at, is really reflecting on, like, wait a minute, I have one life, and I don't need to buy into this narrative anymore. So while, yes, it may look like I'm doing the bare minimum, or I'm not stepping up for my company, or I'm turning down extra shifts, what I'm actually doing is not making my job or my career my entire life. Right. Because at the end of the day, your life is so much more than what you do for a living.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Your job should never be your entire life, because you could lose your job at any moment or eventually retire from it. And then what's your identity? Then who are you surrounding yourself with? Then what's your life like? Your life is separate from your work. Your work is your work. Even if you love it, even if you put effort into it, all of these things. But when you talk about, this younger generation and their bare minimum Monday and all that, I don't think that people should then be surprised if a company decides to take away your telemarketing job on bare minimum Monday and give it to the AI. I just don't.
But I feel like even if you don't do bare minimum Monday, if they know that they could save money going to AI versus paying a So there you go. Both of those things can be true, right? I could work my ass off for you, bust my butt, and still be replaced by AI. Or I could do bare minimum Monday, and at least when they laid me off, I know that I didn't miss things that were important to me. It's kind of this, you got to take it case by case. I'm not saying, and again, I really would want an employee like Kim rather than one that's probably leaning more towards, but I'm a hard worker. I've always stepped up when they've asked me to. But when we get into this whole idea of quiet quitting, which I hated that term, it was always like, I work for what you pay me. I do what you pay me to do. That is it. That is fair. If you want me to do more, pay me more. Calvin says it right here. It's okay to do additional work if your boss actually gives you a promotion, better work schedule, etc. Otherwise, it seems the boss took advantage of you. Exactly. And they will take what they can. Not all of them. Some of them are cool. Most of them are like, look, I can get Kim to do it. She's the best worker. She's like the apple of my eye over here. I'm going to ask her to do it. And you know what? She's going to say yes. And she's an excellent employee.
Because she says yes every damn time.